Welcome to FPL Differential 11, a series where we pick a team of 11 lowly owned players who we predict to score the most points for the upcoming game week, to assist you in gaining substantial rank over other fantasy managers. There's just 3 rules. The squad must be worth no more than 82.5 million, each player must be owned by a maximum of 10% of total players in the game, and we're only allowed to pick a maximum of 3 players from a single team. Just before we get into today's video, I want to let you guys know that I've got an exciting 5-part FPL series coming your way at the end of the season, and each and every one of you will be involved in determining how the series plays out. So if you want to be part of it, then I invite you to consider subscribing with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out. Cheers, and now back to the video. Kicking off the final team in goal this week, I've decided to go for Sam Johnston for Crystal Palace's home match against Nottingham Forest. There don't seem to be many keepers under 10% owned that look to have a good chance of keeping a clean sheet this game week, but I fancy Palace to do well in this game, as they've picked up 10 out of a possible 12 points across their last 4 home matches, with that huge victory for Forest at the City ground last week against Arsenal. They've now secured their place in the Premier League for next season, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them take their foot off the gas and allow Palace to finish the campaign strongly at home. Having won only 2 out of 18 home matches this season and scoring just 15 goals across those games, Southampton have been exceptionally poor this season, and for that reason, I have to include a Liverpool defender in the differential 11. With games in hand for both Newcastle and Man United, it looks extremely unlikely that Liverpool will obtain a Champions League spot. But if there's one thing that we know, it's that they're capable of producing big scorelines, having already won 7-0, 6-1 and 9-0 this season. Liverpool have kept 3 clean sheets in their last 4 matches, and Robertson is probably the best pick from the Reds back line at under 10% owned in FPL. With Nottingham Forest picking up a 1-0 win over Arsenal on Saturday night, it meant that Man City had already won the title before kicking a ball against Chelsea. Because of this, we saw heavy rotation within the City side, with Pep benching the likes of Ederson, De Bruyne, Grealish, Haaland, Gundogan, Rodri, Stones, Diaz and Bernardo. Rico Lewis was one of the many to be given an opportunity at the weekend. He kept a clean sheet and often wandered into more central attacking positions on the pitch. Although Brentford will be making a late push for a European spot, I expect City to hold on to the ball as they did against Chelsea and play for a low-scoring victory. I'm recording this video before the Newcastle-Leicester matchup on Monday night, but with a last-minute equaliser against Wolves, a single point means that Everton will be in danger of being relegated on the last day of the season. However, I have a feeling that the Toffees are going to be totally dominant against an already safe Bournemouth at Goodison Park, and I can see them winning a ton of set pieces in this game. From his Burnley days, we know just how much Dyche likes his players to target James Tarkowski from set pieces, and for that reason I think he's a decent 1-week punt for the final day of the campaign. I expect Ten Hag to put out his strongest side to get at least a point against Chelsea in the week, so that a top 4 spot and Champions League football is guaranteed for next season. If that situation occurs, then I can see him making some changes for game week 38 to give a rest to some players ahead of the FA Cup final. The right back position is one where I think we'll see Wan-Bissaka rested and Diogo Dalot come in for the home game against Fulham. United have now kept back-to-back clean sheets in the league, and when he was in the side, Dalot was finding himself in some advanced positions on the pitch, so perhaps he could get himself more than just a clean sheet. Since game week 27, Dwight McNeil has picked up 3 double-digit hauls in FPL, including that monster 21-pointer against Brighton just the other week. Since Dyche became Everton's manager, McNeil has played 90 minutes in every Premier League match, so in my eyes he's nailed to start, especially as the Toffees are yet to guarantee their spot in the top flight for next season. He takes corners and free kicks, and as I mentioned a moment ago, I can see Everton winning plenty of set pieces against a Bournemouth side who have nothing left to play for. I think McNeil and Tarkowski are a decent double up to have on the last day of the campaign, especially when we can't trust who starts for the other teams in the division. Having started every match since Game Week 29 and picking up 4 attacking returns since Game Week 31, Curtis Jones has to be seen as a good option for the final day of the season, especially with a price tag of just 5 million in FPL. Southampton have conceded 33 times in home matches so far this season, and we've already heard from Ruben Selles that there's likely to be plenty of youngsters starting for the Saints in Game Week 38. On their day, Liverpool are one of the most free-scoring teams in the league, and I expect them to dominate in this one, especially with the lack of cohesion we're likely to see with a heavily rotated Southampton lineup. You may be in a position in FPL where you need a huge differential to help you gain ground, so where better to look than a player who's 0.0% selected among fantasy managers. Although Reece Nelson missed the match against Nottingham Forest due to illness, I expect Arteta to give him a chance in the starting 11 against Wolves on the last day of the season, especially as he's really impressed with his cameos off the bench in previous weeks. Having handed Man City the title at the weekend, Arsenal now have nothing left to play for, and I think there's an opportunity for 1 or 2 youngsters to come in for the Gunners and show what they're capable of at the Emirates Stadium. With a huge 6 goals and 2 assists since Game Week 29, Eberechi Eze has become one of the most reliable players to return FPL points over the last couple of months since Roy Hodgson took charge at Crystal Palace. The Palace midfielder hovers around the box and also makes late runs into the penalty area, and as a result he regularly finds himself on the ball in decent goal scoring positions. We also saw back in Game Week 34 that Eze took a penalty and scored it while Zaha was on the pitch, so I expect he'll remain on spot kicks for the foreseeable future. Having secured Premier League safety last week, I wouldn't be surprised to see Forest drop their intensity for this match. Regardless of the result at St James's Park between Newcastle and Leicester on Monday night, we'll have to wait till the final day of the season to see who finishes in the bottom 3 of the Premier League. One thing I think favours Leicester in Game Week 38 is the fact that their opponents, West Ham, have an upcoming Europa Conference League final, so obviously David Moyes won't want any players to pick up an injury in what is ultimately an irrelevant game for the Hammers. For that reason, I think the Foxes are favourites for the 3 points this week, and Maddison is probably the pick of the bunch due to numerous pathways to points, including via open play, free kicks, corners and potentially even penalties. History could be made this weekend, as Leicester could potentially be the second team ever to both win a Premier League title and be relegated from the division. Having said that, I just get a feeling that Jamie Vardy will be influential in this home game against West Ham, as he was on so many occasions in the Foxes' famous 2015-16 Premier League campaign, and helped to offer Leicester one final push for Premier League safety. Dean Smith will have options to choose from for his forward line, as Kelechi Iheanacho is returning from a groin injury and Patson Daka is also available. However, I feel like Vardy has to start this game, as you know he'll put everything he's got left into getting Leicester over the line with one final win. So there you have it, we've come to the end of the Differential 11 series for the 22-23 season. I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who have watched and commented on the series, and I look forward to returning with it in the 23-24 FPL season. I will have other FPL content coming your way over the summer, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled on the channel. Cheers guys, and until next time, see you soon.